The most controversial Sonic game of all time, Shadow the Hedgehog. I like this game, and I don't like this game at the same time. It's sort of a mixed bag. I think the game moves really fast, and although Sonic fans don't like the gun gameplay, I actually like it. You can just, like, run really fast, pick up guns from the enemies that you defeat, and just use them to, like, shoot and blow stuff up as you're, like, speeding through these levels. That's kind of good. The problem that I have with the game basically pertains to the story and how it progresses, especially the missions. The hero-villain missions in the levels, they're very... not the easiest. What you want to do in this game is the neutral missions. You just run through the level really fast, blowing stuff up, and that's really fun. But when you have to search out enemies and stuff like that, it's really kind of just tedious. And also, a lot of the story elements don't really add up. Like, it seems like Shadow has multiple different ways that his past could have occurred. In reality, you can only have one past, but in this game he has like 3. He could have died on the Ark, he could have been just an android, or he could have not died on the Ark. It doesn't make much sense. And Black Doom, I felt, was a very kind of just generic non-Eggman villain. I wasn't a huge fan of him, and I thought the ultimate explanation for Shadow's past was kind of lame. However, the best part about this game is all the swearing. Everybody swears in this game. Damn is everyone's favorite word in this game. It's utterly ridiculous and unnecessary.
Damn you! I'm going to destroy this damn planet.
And then you get stuff like this too.
Whatever heaven created me, you're going straight to hell.
Yeah. The game that Sonic fans can't decide if they love it or hate it, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1. I will give my own opinion on this game. I like it. I think that it's a very interesting retake on classic Sonic. Yeah, the physics aren't 100% like the classic, and it would have been nice if they were, but I still think that it's interesting and good in its own right. And I liked the level design. I thought the level design was good. The only thing I would critique about the levels is that there's nothing really unique or original in them. They're all just kind of like 3D rehashes of old Sonic stuff. I would have really liked more original ideas, or things that weren't like copying verbatim old Sonic ideas. The bosses, I thought, were uncreative. Yeah, they added some unique elements to them to make them a little bit different, but yeah, it was still just a little lacking. I think they could have done it better. And not to mention the single most tedious Sonic boss ever, this final Death Egg Robot remake. This thing has got to take at least 40 hits. You, like, fight this thing for, like, who knows how long. I mean, yeah, you see it's 7 minutes in this video. You just fight this thing forever. And then at the very end, he does a kamikaze move to, like, kill you at the end. And you could start the whole thing over if you don't catch that. The huge thing I really liked about this game was the remade special stages. Those were awesome. I think those worked really well. So all in all, I like Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, and I want them to make more. Sonic Advance. I would classify this game very much like I did Sonic Chaos. It's a really safe Sonic game. It nails everything about Sonic right. The physics are good and everything, but there's nothing that really stands out in particular to this game. If you're just looking for harkening back to the classic Sonic experiences, you get that from this game. It has the classic set of characters, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and they all controlled really well like they did back in the Genesis days. They added Amy in as well, Amy can't do a spin jump. She can only hit with her hammer, and so that leaves her more vulnerable, and it's actually, in a sense, somewhat more strategic how you have to play. It's just, who wants to play as Amy? I want to play as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles when I play a Sonic game. Like I was saying, I feel like this is good because it controls like a classic Sonic game. It just feels like a more modern feel on it. yeah, basically the sprites are just anime inspired instead of pixel. I think it works out really well. And I loved Egg Rocket Zone in this game. I thought it was a really neat idea how you start off on the ground, you enter the base, and then the rocket takes off, and the rest of the level you're just continually going upward, up through the rocket. I just think it's a really neat idea. It works well, and it ranks as one of my favorite Sonic levels of all. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2. This, I think Sonic fans are far too harsh on. I think it's almost better, it's better than Episode 1 in almost every regard. I really like what they did with the graphics, since instead of doing cel-shaded, they did purely 3D graphics. I think it works really nicely. And also, I mean, although the physics still aren't completely classic, I feel they're much improved in this game, especially the jumping. The jumping felt much better in the last game. I actually didn't even notice the problem with the jumping until I compared it with this game, and so I have to say the jumping's better in this game. I do think the running animation's a little bit weird, though. I thought that was kind of odd. The tag team element I thought was pretty cool. I know people say it's kind of cheap, and it does lend to some cheap things, especially the rolling ball. That's kind of lame. The thing I love most about this game, and I think I ranked it so high just because of this, I love the Sky Chase remix. This thing is like Sky Chase on steroids. I loved this level. Yeah, it was just super creative, especially how they mixed Metal Sonic flying the ship in the background and launching the classic enemies. And then you would have the sections where you're just flying and you're basically just dodging things. You're not jumping into enemies or anything. So that added another challenge to it, and it was a good way to just add something new and fresh to it. And it just looks really nice too. And I mean, Sky Chase is something that's been remixed a good amount in Sonic's history, but I think this one is by far the best. I was really impressed by it. And then it goes on even further to the Wing Fortress remix. It seems kind of cheap, but I think it's Wing Fortress the way it should have been. It like adds everything that should have been in Wing Fortress, and I was really a huge fan of it. The bosses in this game were unique, although they were a little bit easy. Like, especially this first boss, all you really did was fly up and hit him. The Metal Sonic fight was decent. I think they could have done it a little bit better, because, yeah, you basically just roll into the ball and chase them like that. I think they should have just made it so it was Sonic and Metal Sonic, instead of Sonic and Tails versus Metal Sonic. And the last boss was just kind of way too anticlimactic for me. There wasn't anything big about it. So, I like Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, and I hope they make a third. Sonic Advance 3. This, in my opinion, is definitely an upgrade of the original Sonic Advance. When I first saw the game and saw how they were adding the tag team element, how you can pair up any two Sonic characters, I thought that was really interesting, especially like having Sonic and Knuckles play on the same screen. That's never happened in a Sonic game before, so that was like awesome. However, I was slightly disappointed with how it was actually implemented. The game plays really well, as like Sonic Advance did, and as Sonic Advance does as well. I have no problem about the straightforward gameplay, but I feel the tag team element, while it's not bad, it doesn't really add anything, and it just overcomplicates things. Especially since some of the combinations are really kind of worthless. Like, if you pair Tails with Knuckles, it basically changes his flight to more of a glide, and yeah, you can kind of throw your character if you're not in the air when you do it. I feel like it's kind of just unnecessary, and it doesn't really add anything. And one of the worst things is definitely if you ever pair anybody with Amy. Amy basically takes away a character's ability to jump. Well, spin jump, so you see Sonic there can only jump by jumping straight up in the air. And you get a little hammer. It's kind of stupid. And then you grind rails by using a surfboard with Sonic anyway. They're just kind of unnecessary additions, and it doesn't really add anything. Basically, the whole time in the game, I just played as Sonic and Tails because that was by far the best combination. And yeah, the levels were tough, especially this last level. So hard. Sonic Heroes. When I first saw this game advertised, I was blown away by it. I thought this was the absolute most awesome idea, and it really is. It works really well. My major criticism of the game, it plays well and everything, I just wish they had just kept it to Team Sonic. All the other teams, like Team Dark, if you're playing with Team Dark, you just want to play with Shadow, and you see that the icons are blue, orange, and red. It's meant to be for the Sonic characters. Team Rose was just stupid. I don't know why Sega included them. Well, I know why they did it, to stretch out the game, but I mean, who in their right mind would want to play as Team Rose? I thought the levels were really fast and creative, and I really did like the team mechanics. I think they worked well. Power was probably my least favorite, but I thought the idea of the flight formation was really neat. The Chaotix added a different spin on the game, which I thought was kind of boring because they were really just like search and find missions. They were kind of like, this isn't really Sonic either. But one of my favorite levels of all Sonic games is in this game. I absolutely love Egg Fleet. I think this is an awesome idea. I really wish it had gotten into Sonic Generations, but alas, it didn't. I just think it's a super cool concept, just going through the air, blowing up Eggman's fleet. It's just really neat. The final boss in this game, I thought was average, but it was kind of cool, the Team Supersonic fighting. It was neat.